Well, hello everybody and welcome to a creepy cryptid video. Now, this is going to be where I dive into all the spooky stuff, all the paranormal. So I might do this once or twice a week, depending, because I have a lot of things that I want to, get into. I know I've mentioned on my channel before, I am quite into the paranormal, I'm into the creepy, and seeing as the creepy season is upon us, I thought, hey, let's get into some creepy cryptids and some creepy creatures. So, I've chosen two this week. Next week we'll probably go into some paranormal. I do apologise if you can see my boobs a bit. Yeah, this is, this top, gonna just give a little thing, haha. There we go. So this top is what I'm going to probably be wearing. I do have another one as well, but I can't find that. So there's probably going to be either this one or a different top. I'm just going to see how this works. But yeah, next week's video will probably be paranormal and a little bit creepy, so I'll probably like mix between the two. Like, say, if I've got time to do 2 videos a week for this little mini series that I'm doing, then I will, but if there isn't, then you know, we'll just have to work with that. So this week I have decided to pick 2 of my favourite cryptids from America. And they are the Mothman from Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and the Jersey Devil from New Jersey, and is mostly seen in the Pine Barrens area. Now we're going to get into all of this, but first creature that I want to get into is from Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and it is Mothman. Sorry, I've got my phone to the side of me. I was meant to be working today, but I'm having a little bit of a bad mental health day. I was meant to film this a little bit earlier, but I just haven't felt up to it, so I'm effectively recording it an hour before I possibly have to go and pick my fiance Josh up from work, because we were both working today, but of course I had to get sent home sick because yeah, I was just really upset. But anyway, moving on. So first we are gonna go into Mothman of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. So this is my cryptid stitch along that's being hosted by the Witchy Stitcher, and the first cryptid was actually Mothman, so there he is. And I'm currently doing the second one, Nightcrawler, the Friendzone Nightcrawler, which is a little bit weird. It looks like, as the artist described it, it looks like a haunted pair of pants. Literally looks like a haunted pair of pants. But anyway, so first, like I say, we're going to dive into the Mothman. I do have my notes right in front of me, so I might be looking down a bit and looking up at you. So, this particular creature, this particular cryptid, is associated with a small town in West Virginia known as Point Pleasant. And around the time of the first sightings, it was seen in the sort of in and around the TNT area. So the TNT area is basically during the World War. Sorry. I should just explain. The TNT area is a little bit north, a little bit outside of Point Pleasant. So you have to go down Highway 62 in order to get there. It is actually a nature reserve, but the igloos that with a little munitions bunker, I'll pop a little picture up here, so you can see what I'm talking about, is you can see they've got these big heavy doors, and they are actually locked shut at the moment, but there are some that obviously in the 60s kids did break in those igloos to go in there and have a good time, etc. But the reason that the doors were so thick is that if say there was an explosion, so this munitions factory mainly manufactured ammunition and dynamite. So the reason they were so thick was, say if there was an explosion in one of these igloos, then there wouldn't be a chain reaction. It would just be confined to that particular igloo. So yeah, like I say, it was described just north of Point Pleasant in the TNT areas. So one theory to how the Mothman creature originated was that in the 1960s, it all came out that for years people had said that there were chemicals that seeped from the TNT area into the water, and so some people think that maybe this Mothman is some kind of like creature that possibly drank the water and then suffered some kind of mutation due to the chemicals that were leaked. I know I've heard another story that some people think that possibly they were doing some experiments and the Mothman was a product of that. But like I say, that's all hearsay. Sorry. So the sightings of the Mothman, we're talking that when during the main sightings, it was seen on from the 15th of November 1966, and there were 30, and these sightings all went on for about 13 months or so, and it all finished. The last sort of really concrete sighting that we know of was the 15th of December 1967, and it's usually always described the same. It's described as some sort of flying humanoid, like a large flying human with large wings, glowing red eyes, following cars, almost like chasing them from the TNT area, or sort of around that area. Like I say, it's you have to get there by going up Highway 62 just north of Point Pleasant, and you'll get there. So these igloos, I should probably say, these igloos are like in clearings, in these like mossy clearings, etc. So so the first official sighting was at night. There were 5 men. They were actually preparing a grave for the next day, and they saw something that they couldn't really kind of explain. It was lifting off the ground near some trees, and was described as a brownish black winged creature. So you get that. You know, they don't really, well, I guess they probably say something to someone, but you know, the first really like official report comes 3 days later. So this is near the TNT areas. There are 2 young couples, Roger and Lindy Scarberry, and they were with their friends Steve and Mary Millett. And they basically say that they were driving around midnight around the TNT area when Linda noticed 2 glowing red eyes from like beside the old sort of north TNT plant. And she described it as a humanoid that stood about 7 foot tall, wings that folded back. Some eyewitnesses describe it as folding back like an angel's wings. And, you know, at first, you know, she thought, you know, they thought this is just some kind of bird. It took off down. Sorry, I think it was Roger that was driving the car. It turned the car around, and they drove back down Highway 62 towards Point Pleasant, and they were going at 100 miles an hour. Now that is pretty fast. And now this creature was keeping track with their car that's going at 100 miles an hour. So you've got to imagine the speed on this thing to be able to keep track with a car. You know, this thing has got to be going pretty darn fast. So they all get back to Point Pleasant and they're all obviously just in shock, like thinking, okay, what did we see? They talk about it for a bit and they're like, it must just have been some big bird. You know, they thought it was just a bird that was chasing them out of its territory. And so they all gather themselves, they collect themselves, and they all decide, hey, you know, we've got to make sure, you know, it was probably just a bird. We've got to make sure that it was just a bird, you know. There's no point panicking if it wasn't, you know, if it's, you know, something that's not scary. So they decided to go back to the TNT area, drive up Highway 62. So they get there and the creature was waiting for them. This creature was waiting for them. And so when the headlights of the car hit the creature, it's described as it shot up vertically into the air with great speed and disappeared above the tree line. Now, I don't know. I'm quite into my birds as well, and I do not know of any bird that shoots vertically up to take off. Normally, most birds you'll see them running. You'll see them running horizontally, or you'll see them take off from a tree, you know, horizontally. I've never seen an animal take off vertically. And yeah, it basically chased them. Sorry, when they first saw the creature, it did chase them back to Point Pleasant, but when they reached the city of Point Pleasant, it had disappeared. So obviously, you know, it's kind of, you think, oh, is this something that was confined to that area that it just wouldn't go into the city? So yeah, they obviously discovered this thing wasn't a bird, and, you know, this is something that has just taken off vertically and disappeared above the tree line. I mean, honestly, if I was in a car late at night, I'd think, what the hell was that? That's a little bit, weird, you know. So they returned a second time and they decided to report their sighting to the police. Now, this is the thing. The police waited 2 hours before investigating. I mean, I kind of can't blame them, but at the same time, I'd be like, if somebody came to me at a police station, if I was the working police officer at the desk, and someone came to me about a story about a creature that has chased a car 100 miles an hour, you know, I'd think, okay, right, what could this thing be? You know, the only sort of bird I know that can reach, actually, no, the peregrine falcon doesn't even reach speeds of that. I think it's, the maximum speed of a peregrine falcon is about 60 miles per hour. And it only does that when it stoops. Yeah, so I don't think there's a bird that I know of that can go 100 miles an hour. So yeah, like I say, the police, they go up to the TNT area 2 hours later. They investigate and they find absolutely nothing. And I believe that 2 days after this incident, Linda was admitted to hospital by her father because she had a nervous breakdown over the whole encounter. She was really terrified. I mean, you can imagine if you've kind of seen this thing and you've seen a thing with glowing red eyes, you're going to think, oh my god, what the hell did I see? You know, if I was Linda, I'd certainly think, what the hell was that? And I think if I saw a flying humanoid creature, I think I'd be on the verge of a nervous breakdown. But anyway, so, like I say, over the next 13 months, the Mothman was seen by a lot of people. Now, a lot of eyewitnesses, actually, I didn't write this down, but I know this is a fact. A lot of eyewitnesses were approached by the Men in Black. Now, the Men in Black are mainly associated with alien and UFO sightings. And what they do is they come and they basically say to the witnesses, you know, don't report what you've seen. Don't tell anyone you've seen this. And they were saying to people, you cannot tell anybody what you've seen. You know, it's, you know, just forget about what you've seen, basically. And, you know, obviously seeing something like that, you're going to think, well, did I really see it? You know, and it's, yeah, it's just crazy. Like I say, you know, the Men in Black, they are mainly sort of associated with sort of UFO activity. So it's kind of, I know one theory is that maybe the Mothman was some kind of alien creature. Because I know there have been at least some stories of people seeing a UFO just before an encounter with the Mothman. So, yeah. That's a possibility that it's, you know, it's something not of this world, it's paranormal, which would, like I say, kind of explain why the Men in Black would get involved. Hopefully I'm not going to get a knock at the door and have the Men in Black at my door saying, you can't tell the people about this. Oh gosh. Seriously, if I get a knock at the door from the Men in Black, I think I'll be like, okay, I'm done. Bye. So yeah, like I say, over the next 13 months, Mothman was seen numerous occasions, and then all the sightings stopped after the 15th of December 1967. And, you know, for people that, you know, anybody that's in America, this went down as the worst bridge collapse in US history. I am, of course, talking about the Silver Bridge. So, when the Silver Bridge collapsed, it killed 46 people. And I did look this up. 2 bodies were actually never found. So 46 people, 44 bodies have been recovered. This happened sort of, I think it was like, so it was rush hour and it was Christmas time, of course, because we're in December. And basically what happened is, due to poor maintenance, there was a faulty iron bar. And what happened was, at first there was a small crack, and then this crack grew. However, due to the poor maintenance of the bridge, it wasn't picked up. So the bridge was held together by 3 eye bars, and one of them broke, and that's then and then it, from what I've heard, it swung back and it hit the other side. So all these cars, you know, everyone was, so those that had been plunged in to the water first, and then after that side had swung back, basically what happened is the bridge collapsed on top of the cars and, you know, crushed a lot of people, and of course a lot of people drowned. I think they said that everybody that was on that bridge lost their lives. They did build a second silver bridge, like a lot later, as a memorial that was a little bit down the river from the original site. However, the Mothman had been seen sort of, you know, around the bridge, actually sitting near where the faulty eye bar was. So some people think that the Mothman was trying to warn them about the bridge. Others think that the Mothman caused the bridge. You know, some people do believe that they're from Point Pleasant, that there is curse put on the city of Point Pleasant by, what was his name? Sheriff. So, sorry. Some people believe that the curse, that Chief Cornstalk, Chief Cornstalk, who he was a Native American Indian, a lot of people believe that he cursed the city of Point Pleasant, which is why people believe there is a lot of sort of misfortune and bad luck sort of associated with the city. So I believe, you know, obviously I've said the Silver Bridge, I believe they said it had caught fire about 2 or 3 times. And I know there was something else that happened, whether it was like a flood or something. I honestly can't remember. This is sort of things that I've heard. But yeah, so, you know, the thing with the Mothman is that similar creatures have been seen sort of around foretelling natural disasters. So there was one seen in 9/11, just before 9/11. There was one seen before Chernobyl. And there was another one. Yeah, I've just put 9/11 and Chernobyl because those were the ones that stuck out to me. And there is actually an image of this creature, a sort of I would say a similar looking creature to the Mothman, spotted at 9/11. I insert a photo, and there was also sort of, I think it was in 2017, there was someone has allegedly caught the Mothman on camera, like, you know, took a photo of it, but this person apparently didn't know about the Mothman or anything. So, you know, like I say, I'll leave the pictures up here and I'll leave it to you to decide. There have been a few photoshops, like people have tried to fake the Mothman. And of course, with something like that, you know, you do expect there to be hoaxes. So, I'm going to get into some of the theories of how people think that the explanations of how people think, or what people think the Mothman is. So, Joe Nickell, who he is a skeptic and paranormal investigator, he says that it's all a hoax, and that all of it was a hoax that was generated by the press reports, because it wasn't the people of Point Pleasant that gave it the name Mothman, it was the media that gave it the name Mothman. So he believed that it could be down to a group of workers that had tied flashlights to helium balloons to sort of give it the red eyes. He also thinks that possibly barn owls, because when you shine a torch, sometimes it's like you see a bit of red with their eyes. But yeah, like I say, helium balloons couldn't go at 100 miles an hour unless the wind was blowing really hard. And again, you cannot mistake a barn owl for a sort of a 7-foot tall person. So, you know, that's what he thinks. Also, there was the theory that it was a sandhill crane. So they were rare to the area, but sometimes they would pop off if they were lost on a migratory route. And I'll pop a picture of what it looks like. As you can see, the you know, there was a bit of, you know, the red around the eyes. You know, that could give the red eye effect. And also, here is it in flight, that could possibly give the illusion of a person, of sort of a humanoid creature. But the fact that, you know, they say it's glowing, I'm going to think, okay, storks aren't nocturnal, so that's kind of a bit of a, you know, hole in that theory. And I'm pretty sure that it's kind of a red crest wouldn't really glow. So yeah, there's another hole poked in that theory. Yeah, also the area that the TNT bunkers are located, they were built on Native American burial grounds. Now, there is a possibility that this could be some kind of creature that was conjured by the Native Americans to keep their land safe. You know, there are a lot of sort of mysterious things that happen around places that have been built on Native American burial grounds. So, you know, that it is possible that there could, you know, it could be something that the Native Americans did conjure to try and protect their dead. I know there is certainly, I'm trying to remember where it was, but I know there's a place somewhere that there is a report that there are reports of flying humanoids keeping up with cars. I also think some paranormal people think it's possibly maybe something that's called a thunderbird that's Native American. So maybe sort of this Mothman is something that the Native Americans saw and they called it the thunderbird. So it's possible it's been around for centuries, but we just, maybe it's kind of our culture's just not that open-minded anymore, that we've kind of like just closed our door to that, and so therefore we have less of these experiences. Now, I'm going to finish on a positive note about the Mothman. So, there is a statue in the heart of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, of the Mothman, and they actually, every September, they will hold a festival to celebrate the Mothman. So, it has kind of become like a touristy thing now, like most creatures. And yeah. So, what do you guys think? Do you think this was some kind of crane? Do you think it was a barn owl? Do you think this thing has just been completely made up? Do you think it could be aliens? That one I highly doubt. Or do you think it could be possibly something to do with the Native Americans? Or could it be something to do with, as I mentioned at the beginning, could it be something to do with maybe there was some kind of experiment? Or is it something to do with some chemicals that leaked from the TNT bunkers? I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys. So, gosh. We've been going for over half an hour now. Well, I thought this was going to be a quick video. So much for that idea. So, the next cryptid that we've got is a very old and very ancient one. Now, what I'm saying is this has not been seen sort of since the 1960s. This has been seen long before in the Pine Barrens region, and it has been seen since the 1700s. So this is a very old creature. I am of course talking about the Jersey Devil, or before it was called the Jersey Devil, because it didn't get that name until the early 1900s, I want to say. Because before that, it was called the Leeds Devil. So, usually the tales, they'll usually all start differently, but it all centres around one person called Mother Leeds. Now, Mother Leeds was pregnant with her 13th child, and she was effectively doing everything on her own. Some say that she was a witch. Some say she was the mistress of a British soldier. But yeah, but whatever it was, she was very distressed to find out that she was pregnant for the 13th time. And either in labour or before. Some of the stories say it was while she was pregnant. Some of the stories say it was while she was in labour giving birth to the 13th child. But she cursed her own child, screaming, "May this child be a devil." Now that's something that's pretty, that's something that is pretty, for you to curse your own child, that's something that's pretty big. I mean, they did have they had a very high mortality rate, especially when you were a child, you know, mortality rate was young. But the fact that she had 13 children and they were all sort of alive and kicking, you're a bit like, okay. So, she went into labour. Everything was normal. She gave birth to a healthy baby. However, soon the baby started to change into a winged creature. So, this is another bit where the stories differ. The one that I heard was it killed the midwife. However, others say it killed Leeds and her children too. And after it had eaten the midwife, it escaped up the chimney and flew into the night, and it would then go on to terrorise the population and eat children. So, you know, you can kind of see where the whole eating children bit came from, the fact that in one story it says that it ate her and her children. So that would explain why it had a taste for children. And originally this sort of, the tale was, you know, it was used to keep children in line. There are a lot of different ways. I mean, I know in England that people used to use sort of tales of fairies and other sort of creatures to keep their children in line. You know, it's kind of the same thing almost, but repurposed differently. But, you know, it's kind of, over years, it's kind of gone from just a folk tale, just a fantastical story, to a folklore, to a legend. So I guess in a way it would be from myth to folklore to legend. There we go. So, now the people that have seen it, it's usually always described the same. It's described with a head of a horse, body of a kangaroo, wings of a bat, cloven hooves, and a forked tail. So, you know, the Jersey Devil is really a massive mishmash of all sorts of animals. It's not one creature. It's kind of almost as though, sort of when the colonists went to Australia and they found the duck-billed platypus, because obviously it's not like any creature. And when they first brought it back, they thought there's no bloody way this thing is actually a thing. They thought it was a mishmash of so many different creatures, and it's kind of, in a way, the Jersey Devil is the same thing. It's a mishmash of a lot of different creatures. There are a lot of different drawings. This is one of them. That was quite funny. And then, there'll be another one as well. So, so in the 1940s, there was a priest. So a priest, he came to the Pine Barrens and he exorcised the Jersey Devil. He performed an exorcism, and he banished it from the Pine Barrens for 100 years. Some say it didn't work, others say it did. But whatever happened, the creature wasn't seen again until 1890. So, yeah. You know, you can date what you believe. One famous person that actually saw it was a person called Joseph Bonaparte. And he was the older brother of Napoleon Bonaparte. And I'm like, so yeah, that's a fun thing. And he was hunting. He'd been invited out to the Pine Barrens for like hunting and drinking, and he apparently saw it by a pond. It was crouched over. So, you know, that's a possibility. So, and then it saw him and it flew away. It flew away into the forest, apparently. So, you know, there's obviously something in the Pine Barrens because it's just this, the fact that so many people have seen it or seen something, it would make sense. And the fact that it's always described the same, you know, there's got to be something out there. So I should probably get into the Pine Barrens. So the Pine Barrens it's basically a whole lot of, is it redwood or conifer? I think it's redwood. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's redwood. It's like redwood or conifer. I can't find a whole lot. So it's, and basically this is a really unique landscape because the soil is apparently incredibly acidic. So you wouldn't expect a lot to grow there, basically. But it's also sort of, I think it's protected because it's the only redwood, or it's the last of sort of the redwood or the conifer forest of sort of this scale. But yeah, no, the Pine Barrens, there aren't a lot of people there that live there. So, you know, when things happen, you know, you tend to know about it. And say the fact that it has just been seen for over 500 years, you know, there's definitely something out there. So, yeah, I'm going to go to 1909. So before this, it was called the Leeds Devil. Now, in the week of January the 16th to 23rd, 1909, this is when the Jersey Devil got its name. And basically, most of New Jersey saw this thing. So people in the Pine Barrens saw it, people in Maryland saw it, and people in Philadelphia even saw it. So, you know, this whole week it was just complete and utter panic. Schools were closed, factories were closed, and there was like a massive manhunt to try and find the Jersey Devil. But, you know, people would go out in the middle of the night into the forest and try and hunt down and find this creature. Now, the yeah, I'm going to get into some of the stories that the Jersey Devil apparently did during this week. So, it's said to have attacked a trolley car in Hayden Heights. So, apparently it tried to get in. It tried to, like, you know, I don't know if it tried to get in or just tried to just get it off its territory. I don't know. And then another one was, this one's just, like, hilarious. It tried to get into a social club in Camden. Of all the random things to do, you just attack a social club. Like, hey, I want a beer. Nah, sorry. We don't allow Jersey Devils in here. You could just imagine that conversation that the doorman was having with the devil, but I highly doubt it was a conversation. if it even happened at all. But yeah, so during this week, in one of the papers, the Philadelphia Zoo actually posted a $10,000 reward for the creature alive, or also like anything like, say, its dung that could be tied so that they could identify this creature. So of course, you can guess what happened. There were a whole load of hoaxes. But the main one that I found was someone had got a kangaroo and screwed wings to it. What? One question I have is, where the hell did the kangaroo come from? I want to know where that kangaroo came from. Was it private collector? Was it from a zoo, or were there kangaroos like hopping around America? Somehow I think not. So yeah, then it goes and dies down for a little bit, and I know sort of again, I think it was like about 1920s, 1930s. Yes, it must have been about the 1930s. A similar creature was seen in Pennsylvania. And New Jersey kind of put their foot down. And in 1936, they declared the Jersey Devil their national demon. Now, this is the only place. New Jersey is the only state to have an official demon. So, yeah. It's just, honestly, it's just like, of all the random things, yeah. So, we should get into theories of what it could be. Obviously, could be a spawn of the devil, possibly. So this is it. What most scientists believe is this creature has to have survived. It's said that this creature, it can't have survived. It can't just be a singular creature. That it's got to be a species, because the fact that this thing has been seen for over 500 years. This is, they think this is probably some sort of unidentified species of animal. Because, you know, no singular animal can survive for 500 years, as far as we know. Apart from sort of some creatures in the sea. That we know. We know that Greenland sharks can survive over 600 years old, and coelacanths can survive into their hundreds, but that's really all the creatures that we know. We haven't found anything on the land that can live over 100 years. You know, the only land creature that we know that can survive over 100 years is a tortoise. That's the only thing we know for definite that can survive over 100 years. Another theory, this one is a little bit outrageous in all fairness. This one's outrageous. Is that, so some of the early drawings of the Jersey Devil look like a small species of pterosaur called Dimorphodon. So we've now got the question of, did some of the pterosaurs survive the Great Extinction? I'm going to say no. Because basically, when the extinction of the dinosaurs happened, so the remaining dinosaurs would have already been on an incredibly sick planet. Things would have already started dying, you know, population and breeding would have gone down. The issue I have with that is that, you know, they would have had to have scavenged off a lot, and I mean a lot, of sort of dinosaur carcasses. And also, if they had survived the extinction, we would have found by now fossil records supporting that they had survived that long. Or we would have at least found an alive specimen by now. So I can't really see any cause to support that theory that it's a small pterosaur. While making, I think it was Monster Hunter, the presenter Josh Gates nearly hit a white-tailed deer, which are very common in the area. And he actually made a note between the Jersey Devil and the deer that could explain some of the sightings on the ground. Sort of how it moved, he just made sort of really small little things of how similar some of the ground sightings were. But how do we explain the ones in the air? Because I'm pretty sure that deers can't fly. Unless there's some kind of species of deer that we haven't found yet. Another one that I found, this was actually a fairly recent theory. This was done in 2020. Is that it could be an unidentified species of bat. Okay, that makes sense. Possibly. Because one of the things is wings of a bat. They always describe bat-like wings. So it's possible it could be. So basically, I'm going to have my thing. Jessica Chalbert and Phil Torres, they used infrasound, which is how we listen to bats. And they actually picked up a cry from an animal on the infrasound that didn't match anything on the database. It didn't match any sort of bat cry that was known or anything that had been documented in America. So what they theorised is that the slave ships brought a population of hammer-headed bats. Now these are quite big bats and they were brought over from Africa. Think that some of them stowed away on the crossing to Africa and they escaped. I mean, it's possible because these are quite big bats. Especially when they fly. I think they said they had about a 6-foot wingspan. So that is a pretty big wingspan. But it's, it certainly is a mystery. There was the most recent sighting that we've had was in 2009, and I believe they said that they caught a photo of it, and it was a resident of the Pine Barrens, so I'm gonna pop a photo of that here. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it up to you to what you think these creatures are. Could the Jersey Devil actually be a devil? Be a spawn of the devil? Could it be possibly some kind of species of bat? Could it be a deer? Or could it possibly be a kangaroo with wings on? A flying kangaroo? But yeah, I will basically leave you guys sort of to theorise what you think these creatures are. I'll leave you to make up your own conclusions to what you think the Mothman is and what you think the Jersey Devil is. But anyway, yeah, that's all from me. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all later. Bye!